As we're filming this, it's March 11th. That's when we're putting out our fertilizer on the garden for this season. I've done it in videos in the past as early February and all kinds of different times. It's almost when I have time to do it. The beauty of using organic fertilizers is they only really work when soil microbes are active and can break it down, put it in an available form for your plants. And so soil temperature has to warm up for that. So if I put it down in January, no reason to put it down back then, but it wouldn't have caused me any problems. It wouldn't have pushed the plants or anything. So organic fertilizers work with the kind of natural growth cycle of your plants. You know, again, the soil kind of has to be awake and working in order for it to happen. So, and as the soil microbes slow down in the fall, the nighttime temperatures get cooler, it won't be used either. So if you're using something like a synthetic fertilizer, that's just like nutrients that are put in the form where that plant can use them immediately. So if you put them down early or you put them down late, it could have some sort of negative impact on the growth cycle of your plants, naturally waking up at the right time and naturally going to sleep at the right time. I use plant tone out here. You'll see, makes no difference. I'm not associated with them in any way. Spoma makes a great product. I've used it pretty much every year since I've been here, but whatever organic fertilizer you want to use, go for it. This is not an endorsement. I got 2 50-pound bags this year because we didn't have, last year when I was fertilizing, we didn't have the native garden space over there. So I've been using 2 36-pound bags. It's not as much as they recommend, nor do I need as much as they recommend. I use plant tone and not holly tone, although this Indian hawthorn next to me, this Deutzia, acid-loving plant. So you would think that, you know, that hollies and camellias and azaleas and rhododendrons would definitely need holly tone, but I have adequate iron in my soil and my pH is low. So I do not need to manipulate my soil in any way, shape, or form. So I'm just using the straight plant tone. Again, they got a lot of different tones you can look through, but I just use the main thing. The other thing is I get a lot of questions about using biotone in the garden, and I've answered this question in some question and answer videos. And as you're seeing this video, the question and answer video that went up Sunday, I think I did a Sunday, and then again Tuesday, I think I did a pretty good explanation on the fact that I don't use biotone in the bottom of the holes of the plants. Number one, it's in the plant tone fertilizer. Number two, those mycorrhiza, your soil has to be in good shape for those things to exist in the soil anyway. So working on your soil up front is a better solution than adding anything for mycorrhiza. It'll just happen on its own if conditions are right. The soil's not too dry, soil's not too wet, soil's kept covered, all those kinds of things. Okay, that's enough on the type of fertilizer. And again, I'm not using as much as they recommend. They got all kinds of different recommendations on here. I have always gone and slung it out. And I see that I've had an influence on other people because there's a lot of slinging of fertilizer going on. I'd be careful, a couple little be careful things. I was going to do this yesterday morning, but it had rained a little bit late the day before. And so the foliage was wet out here. So if I go slinging fertilizer on wet foliage, it's going to stick to it. And things like open flowers on these daffodils or anything else out here that's just kind of in a lot of new foliage happening, a lot of new tender stuff happening. Obviously, this organic fertilizer is a lot less damaging overall than a synthetic fertilizer would be, but it still could. So I want to make sure that I'm throwing them out, and then I went around with a blower and just kind of generally knocked it off the foliage back down to the ground. I've shown in the past I can, on something a really kind of heavy duty shrub like this Indian hawthorn, I can take a push broom and just gently knock it off. We would do the same thing with pre-emergent herbicide at the nursery. We'd spread it out over top of everything and then go knock it down in the plant or blow it down in the plant. Just make sure that it gets off of the plants before it rains and then it sticks to it permanently. So we'd like to get it down to the ground. It's going to rain tomorrow, so I'm just going to leave it be. I've thrown it out here. I've cleaned it off the sidewalks. I've cleaned it off the plants. I'm just going to leave it be, and it's going to hopefully rain it in tomorrow. If you have dogs, and Griffin is one of these types of dogs, he likes the smell of this organic fertilizer. He'd like to come out here and roll in it. If you have that going on, you might want to water just right behind the activity. Fertilize, knock it off the foliage, water it in. That'll also take the smell down. My neighbors are going to have 100 pounds of organic fertilizer drifting around the neighborhood today. It's quite aromatic out here. And so, but the rain will take care of a lot of that tomorrow. Okay. A lot of the purpose of this video is to show you how little I actually fertilize in this garden. That is my fertilization for the year, except some of my annual beds, perhaps the vegetable garden, and a few containers will probably get some additional fertilizer later in the season. But I will base that on observation. I don't do the, it's Tuesday, so I have to fertilize thing. I do it as the plants looks great, so I'm just gonna walk away. That's my way I refertilize things later on. So I'm just gonna do it if my annuals seem to be lagging, if my tomatoes seem to be slow, if my pots seem to be off colored, I may come back and fertilize them later. I think last year we hardly refertilized anything in this garden the rest of the year. Now, another thing is I'm not fertilizing plant to plant to plant to plant to plant. You know, and the instructions on the bag are literally for established plants to use a certain 1 cup per foot of drip line diameter underneath the plant. My entire soil is alive here, okay? And my plants are, I'm gonna be doing a video on this coming up. Plants are not planted, they are plugged in. If your soil is in good shape, they are plugged into a system. I have a living system underneath this soil that these roots are attached to, and those are responsible for bringing nutrients and water, and the plants are responsible for using the sun's energy to make sugars to feed those things, okay? If your soil is working properly, if you've put time and energy into maybe starting your garden with wood chips or compost, or you've continued to mulch it over the years, then your soil is alive enough, you likely have the nutrients in place. Again, get a soil test done and see, make sure you're not missing something completely that you may want to add. But for most everybody watching, your soil has the things in the soil that are needed for these plants. And you just need to make sure that you're doing a good job of keeping the things that are under the soil alive. If you keep the things under the soil alive, the things on top of the soil will be very alive and very vigorous. I got lots of questions over the 6 years on this channel. How'd the garden grow so fast? How have things grown so fast? How's every time you put something in the ground, it just goes like this? I'm not doing anything special. I've not hidden anything here. We started this by putting down a layer of compost and then a layer of wood chips. And then after those wood chips broke down, we used a decorative hardwood mulch in the beds, and we've continued to wood chip the paths. If you'll notice in this B-roll of me fertilizing this morning, I fertilized the paths. Why would that crazy person fertilize his own paths, right? Because these roots are in there. They're underneath these paths. The mycorrhizal network that Indian hawthorn is plugged into, and that deutzia is plugged into, and that viburnum is plugged into, and that azalea behind me is plugged into, is in this path. It's in the bed right there. It's even in the sidewalk over there. I'm not fertilizing the sidewalk, but it's in the cracks between the rocks over there. All of this is interconnected. So I want this plant to come over here, right? I'm not trying to get it to just stay right there. If I give it everything it needs right there. So if I just water that spot, anytime this plant needs something, I throw fertilizer right at the base of it and water it right at the base of it. What benefit is it for the plant to root over to here or lock into some sort of, mycorrhizal network that's over here? So I'm building resilience in the garden by not fertilizing it and only giving it exactly what it needs in that spot. I need it to get out into the surrounding soil. I need these things slightly in competition with one another and chasing nutrients, in this garden. So I'm fertilizing the paths are organic material, the beds are organic material, and that's the purpose. So that's the purpose. As you see me slinging it out, I'm slinging it everywhere. I don't want the roots just right there. I want them over here, because if they're over here, then guess what? I get to go to the beach in July and not have to ask somebody to water the garden. You know what I mean? Because this plant now has access to water that's in this path, the same as it has access right at the base of it. So I call the system I use Soil First Gardening, actually doing a talk in Johnston County this weekend called Soil First Gardening. It's one of the presentations that I do. I just recorded over the presentation I've been given, and I put it on the Learn to Garden video series. If you're interested in learning more about this, about putting soil before plants, plants will take care of themselves if you take care of the soil first, and learning what I mean by that and the actual science of this. I've got lots of videos on the Learn to Garden video series over on our website, and it's been permanently marked down to $129 if you're interested in that. There's dozens of videos on it on the Learn to Garden video series about this, including my Soil First Garden my Soil First Gardening presentation. We will not refertilize these bulbs either. That was the fertilization for these bulbs. These were planted, this group right here was planted 2 years ago. I fertilized them once last year, but again, they have access to all these nutrients and all this organic material breaking down, and look how vigorous they came back year over year. We will leave this foliage up because again, the foliage is like collecting the sun's energy, photosynthesizing and rebuilding that bulb. It's also part of the equation, right? Plus the fertilizer that I threw down here. More is not better. That's the thing with fertilizer here. It's just more is not better. More is, to a human, to us, when we look at a plant, we go, wow, it's green, so it must be healthy. Or it looks, it's blooming, so it must be healthy. We're not a good judge of what a plant, of this plant being healthy just by observing that it's green. We can make it green with nitrogen fertilizer, but it doesn't mean it's healthy. It just means we forced it to be green. When plants are forced that way, they're actually very vulnerable to insect problems and disease problems that we're creating that we really don't know. We're just, again, we've been just taught over and over and over again, if we fertilize it and it starts growing, even if it's growing in July when it doesn't want to be growing and it wants to be in some sort of dormancy and some sort of summer dormancy, that's a good thing. And it's not necessarily a good thing. What we want to really do is have the garden ramp up in the spring, do all the things it's supposed to do, stay in a healthy state, and sometime toward the end of summer, as the days get shorter and the nights get cooler, we want it to go back into that sleep. That helps us prevent winter extreme, damage in the winter from, things being too awake, too pushed, too active during the winter months. It helps us not end up with drought stress related problems in the summer when, again, your garden wants to be, we're going to push our vegetable garden and we're going to push our annual flowers. I keep pointing out here because this will be all annual border across here. It's currently got some hyacinths and some tulips coming, but that's an area we're going to keep it growing. But the rest of it, I want the shrubs to look good in the summer, but I also want them to have the option of just going, hey, I'm going to freeze in place. It's 95 degrees out for the next month, and I'm just going to sit here and not, if we try to push them through that, that's not going to actually be beneficial to them. So there you go. There's my thoughts. I do this yearly just to show you how little we fertilize. I want to have that conversation. More is not better. For some reason, it's almost hard to buy soils and amendments now that don't come with fertilizer, and I don't want any of that. I don't want any of that. It's easy to overdo. I don't want to buy a bag of potting soil with fertilizer already in it. I want to control the fertilizer myself. And again, I want to do things by observation. If my plants, if I was looking out here, and I just did this once a year fertilizer, and then I was looking out here during the summer and I saw some yellowing veins and some leaves on some plants, and I saw some other things happening out here, some other stress-related things, then I would go down the rabbit hole of perhaps getting a soil test, seeing where my pH is, seeing if other nutrients are off in the soil, and maybe I would go down that rabbit hole at that point. But if I look out here and everything seems to be healthy and thriving, and I got very little winter damage, I think, I've got a podocarpus. We kind of noticed the top 18 inches got killed on sometime late in the winter. It was fine for a while, and then it just went, this is too much, I'm out. But I think there's almost no damage out here, and I attribute a lot of that to we are taking care of soil with organic material and not demanding too much from the plants above the soil, letting the soil take care of everything else. So there you go. Thank you guys so much for following along. If you are going to fertilize your garden in a way that I did it, probably sooner the better, because these plants are just getting started. And once they fully wake up and cover up in foliage and flowers and that kind of thing, I'm a little more leery about throwing fertilizer into open flowers and that kind of thing. I've got some open daffodils and a few other things, and I'll go through here lightly with the blower and try to get that fertilizer off of them because I am concerned it'll off color the flowers potentially. There you go. Thanks for watching.